hearse goes by, for you may be the next to die. They wrap you up in bloody sheets to drop you 6 feet underneath. They put you in a pine wood box and cover you up with dirt and rocks. It all goes well for about a week, and then your coffin begins to leak, and the worms crawl in, the worms crawl out, the worms play pinochle on your snout. They eat your eyes, they eat your nose as you begin to decompose. A slimy beetle with demon's eyes chews through your stomach and out your sides. Your stomach turns to rancid grease, and pus pours out like melted cheese. You spread it on a slice of bread, and that's what you'll eat when you're dead. And the worms crawl out, the worms crawl in, the worms that crawl in are lean and thin, the ones that crawl out are fat and stout. Your eyes fall in and your hair falls out, your brain turns into maggot pie, your liver starts to liquefy, and for the living all is well as you sink further into hell. And the flames rise up to drag you down into the fire where you will drown. Your skin melts off as you descend, and Satan tears you limb from limb. Your suffering will never end, and the worms crawl in, the worms crawl out. They'll eat your guts and then shit them out, and when your bones begin to rot, the worms remain, but you do not. So don't ever laugh as a hearse goes by, for someday you'll be the one to die. And when death brings his cold despair, ask yourself, will anyone
All right, hello and welcome back. Feels like it's been forever, hasn't it? I'm actually sober. Stomach is still a little bit sore from that drunk stream, but hey, fuck it. We got to come back at some point. How you guys doing? I see we got Devin, Bone Marrow, which I believe is Cat, correct? Ranger. What's going on, Chuck? What's going on, JCR? What's going on, Nicholas? Hawkpool, Machete. What's going on, everybody? How you guys doing today? Tonight. Whatever fucking time of the day it is with you. We are here to finally recap and talk some Evil Dead. Don't mind that thing beeping in the background. I have no idea what the fuck that is. It's not fucking with any of my audio, so I don't care. At least not right now. What's going on, Vibe? How you doing? Look way better than I did on Tuesday. I bet. Fucking shit. That was a bit of a mess. You get banned for saying the Jedi are evil and Palpatine is not evil. I mean, that's movie stuff. There's no need to ban any of that. Bannable offenses are as said in the description below and on the community tab. We're not going to get into the reason or anything like that. We're moving way past that, and we're talking some Evil Dead. Did I remember what happened on stream? A bit. I remember some of it. I did go back, because I even watched your video, Devin, which I guess you kind of know, because you pinned the comment that I left. But, I went back, saw it, and saw the cringiness of it all. Just like, oh my god. I don't know what the fuck I did afterwards, but after I passed out, released it again. I don't know where that came from. But after I ended up releasing it again, my legs have been fucking sore. Like, I've been moving fucking 100 tons of fucking chainsaws and boomsticks up a steep ass fucking hill. Like my entire front thighs are all like just done. I swear, if this Evil Dead chat turns into a Michael Jason chat, I'm getting the damn saw and boomstick. Did you hear when I first saw you wrote that, Paris? I just dropped the. Oh, I guess. Oh. Another drunk stream anytime soon. I think there'll likely be one. I don't know if I'm going to be doing shots. Hold on, give me one moment. I think I know where that sound is coming from. I'll be right back. All right. Maybe that did it. We'll see. What's going on, Brenda? It's taught Matt Cordell. Think the Velcro needs to be attached via X pattern sewing for the AVED harness. I remember you wrote that in a message. I don't know. I mean, I had some Velcro that you would have to stitch as well, that doesn't have the sticky side on the other end. I did use that second super glue that I sent you in that link. That worked wonders. I don't know why is that still playing. There we go. I had to make sure I turned that off. Well, that's what I mean. I don't use the sticky side at all. Most of my Velcros are dry on the other end. There's no sticky adhesive that's already on there. But I would probably, if you don't have to sew or you don't trust it, I would wait until you get that second round of super glue, the fast acting stuff. Did I say hello to Brenda? I don't know. My mind's all over the place. If I didn't say hello, Brenda, welcome. How many times did JG die last stream? It was a few, but I think I survived more than I died. I'm not entirely certain. I'd have to go back and do the count up of the stream. So you notice some small X shapes on the screen used props. I mean, that could also be simulated. Like, if you could take thread and probably put it on there, you can always glue that on too. I know some people that simulate thread patterns with super glue. Not super glue itself as the thread, but using the thread and then super gluing. Well, then I guess you get welcome twice, Brenda, because you're just twice as special. JG has superpowers called thunder. You know what? I believe you're right. Oh no, trust me, that's super glue. If you get that second round of super glue, you do not have to worry about things getting ripped, torn, or anything like that. You don't have to worry about it. That stuff is strong. That stuff pretty much is made to take quite a beating. You have to put some immense force. Welcome you thrice. Welcome language. Welcome, welcome. Fucking 4 times. Welcome. Fiance demanded you have to give it a break. I can understand that. Sometimes it's best to come at things, especially when you're very into it, trying to get every detail right, especially the Ash versus Evil Dead harness. Something like that, where you're trying to capture every minuscule detail. That is going to be very tedious and very, very, very demanding. All right. Now, what is this I keep seeing about Michael can't die, JCer? What is this I keep seeing? What is going on? Before we get into Evil Dead, because we're going to recap the movies, the series, pretty much we can go over your guys' favorite moments of the entire thing, including the movies and the TV show. We're going to be going over everything, even the reboot. I'm getting the fucking soul. All right. I mean, what was it that we were talking about with that? Y'all called upon the Evil Dead wrath. Now y'all gonna get it. Conspiracy theory. Is JG Cookie Monster? I actually don't like cookies like that. So no, that's not me. Not unless they're the chewy, like Chips Ahoy kind of cookies, or they got that peanut butter in them. I mean, if we get like that, then I'm definitely all on it. Excuse me. I don't know why that thing keeps popping up like that. Let me check my Stream Deck system. Like music? What are you doing? Alright, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I ain't ready for chilling. Yeah, unfortunately, Paris, I would not be able to show the video that we worked on. Just because of that. But get me pretty much this entire stream, which is monetized, it would ultimately take it, and anything monetarily would go to the copyright holders. They would claim the entire stream. Yeah, because that's right. Don't you ship Michael with Freddie, Brenda? Michael and Freddie together? But all right, before we get into it, I was waiting to see if anybody was going to come up with the whole Michael and Jason thing. Nobody. That's pretty much worked. Oh, I see JC here. Okay. I know he is human, but he is possessed by a demon, I think. No, that is incorrect, JC here. He is not possessed by demons. Michael is Michael. Michael is Michael. That is it. He is supposed to be born evil. A kid that out of nowhere just snaps and turns psychotic. That is supposed to be what Michael Myers is. The Thorn thing, nobody really knows much about it. I mean, we get the exposition that the Curse of Thorn is supposed to be this cult running things and controlling them. We see how well that works in part 6. So I very much doubt anything that they say with that. JG, get this. I like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, the Friday the 13th remake, and the Halloween remake, and the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. But I didn't care for the Evil Dead remake that much. I mean, it's all subjective. I mean, it all depends on what you were looking for when you went to the movie. Rob Zombie's Evil Dead. I only have one thing to possibly respond to that with, Anthony.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
No, we're good. Curse of Cuck. Oh, man. But yeah, I mean, okay. Getting into Evil Dead, which I will also be letting you guys know where we're going to be going for the next commentaries before we get into that. Next movies we're going to be watching. I haven't decided if we're going to be watching the TV one yet or not. That will be dependent up to you guys. But gonna join me in room 237 at the Overlook Hotel. That's gonna be the next one we're gonna do. I got one better. Ooh Bowl, Evil Dead. No. Oh man. But all right, let's get into it. So with Evil Dead, we get into pretty much the entire series. The entire series as a whole, you already know. It's gone from cult classic, cultural phenomenon, TV show is widely regarded amongst the horror community. All of that goes hand in hand. That's all knowledge that we already know. That's all there. But if we look at Evil Dead, the Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, Ash vs. Evil Dead, we do see a bit of a thing where the tone does shift greatly, going from dark horror with pretty much little to no comedy, and it starts shifting over, which I guess you could say that comes with experience from Sam Raimi as he was working on things. Because how many of you guys have seen what's the prequel called? Within the Woods? Is that what it's called, Paris? Paris says, I personally think the TV show is the best Evil Dead media. Has Ash the way I like him, and it really does feel like a lead up of what the movies were trying to lead up to. The literal end. Very true, very true. Especially after you come off Army of Darkness, it does carry that tone a little bit. It does move the needle a little bit closer to the slapstick than what Army of Darkness was. Army of Darkness was absolute slapstick. Evil Dead 2 was that middle ground between horror and slapstick. Army of Darkness shifted it just a little bit more, toned down the horror aspect of things. I mean, they had some horror aspect where you got walking skeletons and people getting dismembered and coming back to life and shit like that. You're going to have that. And then the supposed sexual assault of Sheila that ends up turning her into a deadite. So I mean, there's certain elements at play with that. Hey, speaking of play, what's going on, play? Welcome. Let me get my axe for that stream. Within the Woods, that's what it's called, right, Nicholas? Right. If you guys have not seen Within the Woods yet, definitely give it a check. Check it all out. Like, that is... I would honestly... And that was the thing. When they did the remake, because they didn't want to I didn't think they would want to rehash. This was before we knew that it was a sequel, supposedly, to the first Evil Dead. At least that's what Fede Alvarez intended. What I would probably say is that they should have probably have made it more of a remake of Within the Woods. I mean, would you guys have liked that? Like a remake of Within the Woods? When am I going to play Dead by Daylight again? We are going to play Dead by Daylight tomorrow. We are still going to be on the PTB. Hey, what is going on, Death? I mean, you're not that late. You're only like 20 minutes in. You're good. You don't need a hall pass or anything. No being reprimanded. Yeah, Within the Woods is really fucking scary. Which is why, honestly, if I was Fede Alvarez, knowing the situation around Evil Dead and how fans ultimately feel about Bruce's character, why not go and make a movie called Within the Woods? Let the movie play on its own merits as Within the Woods, and then have it lead up to Evil Dead. Like, that's what you could probably do. Not as maybe a prequel, but as a better way to springboard things. Possibly having Shaman create the new Book of the Dead instead of it coming from fucking ancient Samaria and shit like that, and how it was written. Because, I mean, at that point, you can create the lore. The whole point of the remake is to take the original concept and bend it, maybe modernize it, or possibly tell the same... So the story still gets you to the same spot, but you take a different route getting there. Like, that would have been my thing. Because, I mean, technically, Fede Alvarez's Evil Dead did that, but it relied, one, heavily too much on the Evil Dead license. It gave you visuals and so many Easter eggs. And what the Easter eggs did in Fede Alvarez's movie was ultimately make you want to watch the old movie instead of wanting to continue his movie. He could have did exactly what he wanted to do with his Deadites, which would have been a different version, because from Within the Woods, those particular demonic spirits come back in a different way, and you can have them spread in a different way. And just taking that little chunk of a story and expanding it a little bit better. I think Ash hides the boomstick because he knows it's not his and has no license. Plus, what you said, Paris. Oh, I mean, that is true. He did steal the shotgun from the cabin, right? You were wondering in the remake, why didn't the Necronomicon burn? My guess, okay, if we're going by the whole thing that was said, that Fede Alvarez's Evil Dead stems off the first Evil Dead, it would have to have been similar to what my sequel concept would have been, except taking it a bit further, where the book was somehow reconstituted, pages and all. The book was ultimately burned to ash, but when the book was reconstituted to trap the spirits again, they didn't put the face on it. It was a completely different book. The incantations, the drawings, and everything was different because the original drawings and incantations were all burned off. Now, what I would want to know is who the fuck came in there and translated everything and wrote shit down in the book. I mean, granted, it would have been, what, like 30 years afterwards? So, I mean, some asshole could have come along and done that. My thing would have been, why doesn't it burn? It's probably the Doomsday effect, which, as any comic book fan would know, with Doomsday, if you kill Doomsday one way, you cannot kill him the same way twice. So once the book got burned, it probably took some precaution magically over itself to not be burned again. And we don't know if this could be malevolent. We don't know if this could be a good thing, because you figure if the book was destroyed, we know the book still comes for Ash at the end of the original Evil Dead. Now, if we're to believe that that is the cutoff and this movie begins after that, if we're to believe that, when Ash burns that book, it's ultimately to the point where the book itself releases the evil, because the book itself kind of works similar to the lament configuration. It houses these other dimensions, passageways and portals and stuff like that. So when Ash destroyed it, it set free the demon, or at least the main entity. So when that entity attacked Ash, it would probably have taken maybe the old woman to come in that we see in Fede Alvarez's Evil Dead. It might have took her to come to that area to rebind another book and take whatever incantations that she was possibly able to somehow psychically put down, or because I mean she knows her shit. She's reading the book. So I would assume the book might have been hers. She might have been the one that put it together. And the family that we may see at the beginning may have been targeted by this evil, and the old woman was there to try to recapture the demons. And because of the sacrifice and so forth, I mean, that could be. I could be talking completely out of my ass. But maybe that is how the book begins to look different, is fire resistant and so forth, is all because this old woman may have casted spells over it, and it's meant to not set free the evil again. But then you have the people in Fede Alvarez's Evil Dead that come and read from the book and release the demons again, although these demons now look vastly different, which I mean could be evolution of the demonic spirits. You never know. Give me a spoon. We have no spoon. You are all strange. Hey, you're one of us, Harley. You know that. Ranger says, is the Delta in the remake? Yes, it is. They do have a Delta in the remake, and we're led to believe that it is Ash's Delta in the remake. But I mean, there's so much that kind of goes into that kind of goes against the remake to make it a good, like, not even a good sequel, but just a sequel in general. Hey, what's going on, mommy? How you doing? Welcome back. Put my hands together for you too. Ash goes to Haddonfield? I mean, Ash technically could go anywhere. I'm assuming you're leading up to Ash versus Michael. That I think is what you're trying to lead up to. I want some brownies, Dad. That's what I want. That's what I've been having a craving for. Hey, what's going on, Matt? Sorry, bro. I had to cook dinner. Damn it. Oh, no. You're absolutely fine. I mean, as everyone here will tell you, especially the older crowds that have been here, how many times have I stopped streaming because I was hungry? What's my favorite look for Ash? Mine is Ash versus Evil Dead, blue shirt, brown pants, harness, glove, and saw look. My favorite look that I always associated with Ash, prior to the TV show, I love his look in the TV show, but I love his beginning look in Army of Darkness. I think Ash is in the best shape of his life in that movie. At the beginning, he looks like a guy that's seen some shit, like getting to that point. The tattered clothes, the harness, the chainsaw, the boomstick, and all of that just culminates so well. that pretty much I was almost sad to see like he has to change clothes and so forth going forward in that movie, because he looked like a badass going forward, and someone that you're trying to present as a badass, albeit a increasingly psychotic badass. He did capture that at the beginning of that movie. Exactly. See, Paris. Ash is dead if you went to Haddonfield? Maybe. But, I mean, what was it 35 to 40 years of fighting demonic spirits throughout time? Kind of seems to maybe disagree with you, JC. Because you cannot put any slasher over Ash. You cannot put him over. Because technically Ash should not have survived what looked to be a kaiju-sized fucking demon at the end of Evil Dead 2. Can Michael Myers kill a kaiju-sized demon that showed up at the end of Evil Dead 2? I don't even think fucking Jason could. Ash did. And Chucky over Ash. Chucky got to. I don't know about that, Paris. I don't know about that because we don't know a couple of things about Ash that would be very integral to the whole fucking possession angle from Chucky. Because if we look at it, we don't know if there's some form of darkness inside of Ash that can transform him back into evil Ash at some point. If that darkness lays latent. Oh, thank you for the follow, my friend, Hakanya Vaz. I like saying that. Thank you for the follow. Glad you are with the channel. Hope you're enjoying the stream, and welcome to the family. But yes, going back to the point, Paris. If that latent evil is within Ash and it's somewhat dormant, if Chucky tries to possess Ash's body, would that culminate into a three soul internal battle within Ash's body? That would be something, because then Evil Ash and Chucky could cancel each other out and ultimately make Ash immune to the overall possession power that Chucky now possesses. No, Michael will beat Jason and Ash. That's completely opinion. But I tend to disagree. I think either Jason or Michael both stand a chance to be defeated by Ash, to be completely honest. They also have a good chance in killing Ash, but again, almost 40 years of fighting godlike demonic spirits. Because let's be real, let's be completely real. Neither Jason, Michael, Freddy, Leatherface, Chucky, or any of them are probably beating a full-on demonic Ruby. That's not happening. Let alone Ball. That's not happening. Matt says, I say Ash as a normal mortal man has seen some shit. He's a legit badass. I absolutely agree. Is Jace chilling? It's starting to sound like it, isn't it, Death? So basically a demon killer versus someone who goes stabby stabby with a knife. Pretty much. What's going on, Sand Viper? Hey, I have a question. Can you answer? Absolutely, Sand Viper. Shoot away. Show me what you got. Paris says, I mean, I suppose, but I don't see Ash killing Chucky through in the end regardless. Probably not. Because Chucky is likely going to have so many vast number copies of himself that it's almost impossible to kill all of them. Because he can always create new copies. I think in a one-on-one confrontation, you're likely going to have it where Ash kills that particular copy, but he's never going to kill Chucky as a whole. There's no way. Chucky was eaten by a gator in Hack Slash. There is Pennywise. What about Pennywise, JC? Who is chilling? Go back and watch my one video, Harley, chilling with Michael. You'll understand. Sand Viper. Can anybody give me a skin in Fortnite? No. No. That would be something you would probably have to get on your own. Unless someone in the chat is feeling very generous, which I highly doubt. Like, you're likely barking up the wrong tree, my friend. Plus, Fortnite? Come on, man. We're in a horror chat. I mean, granted, I guess Fortnite does have zombies in it, but, I mean, come on, man. He's the urban legend around here, Harley. He's the big Michael fanboy and lacks rationality. That is such an accurate description of chillin' death. Absolutely. Yes, chillin' is the guy who is the huge Michael fanboy. JC here, Michael will beat Ash maybe. Doubtful. Very, very doubtful. Because, I mean, if we're going... I'm assuming you're talking movie Pennywise, correct? Because if you're talking movie Pennywise, he was killed by harsh language. Who gives harsher language than Ashley J. fucking Williams? Like, I mean, maybe Freddy, but ultimately, no. JG, how do I unblock Death so I can see his comments again? Because I was the one who blocked him. My ex was the one who did that. You'd have to go into your settings and find your block list and then take him off of it. Ranger says, I know he's a horror movie character, but Eric is stupid. Reading from the book after warning signs, dead cats in the basement, remnants of a fire, and not to mention the creepy book that was wrapped in a bag and barbed wire, indicating that you probably shouldn't read from it. My thing is, as much as that old woman knew about that book, why did she take it with her? I mean, knowledge is power. So pretty much, why didn't you take a book that you know you could probably protect because you knew exactly what it was? Why didn't you take it with you? I feel like we're missing a whole movie between that. Well, we're missing a whole movie before the beginning segment, and I feel like we're missing a whole movie after the beginning segment. What you got for Kandar the Destroyer, Paris? Bring it to me. Let me know. What's going on, Tiny Eggplant? Welcome back. I'm no skin, so I was asking. Wait, what? What do you mean no skin? Are you saying you're naked? Don't call you Michael fanboy, you're not? I don't know, just here. I've seen a ton of your comments, and a lot of them lack logic. Some of them are okay. Some of them are okay. But I've seen a ton of your comments in the Jason versus Michael videos. And there's a good portion of them that lack logic. So here's the issue here, as Paris says. Kandar the Destroyer, God or secret weapon? I'm leading towards secret weapon. Because, I mean, if he was a god, the way he was called upon by the Dark Ones was like, go do my bidding. And Kandar did. That's kind of, or maybe, just maybe, Kandar is the actual form of one of the Dark Ones. Maybe the visage that we see of Ruby and Ball and the hooded figures of all the Dark Ones, maybe that's just how we perceive them. But ultimately, their true forms, they all have different ones. Kandar being one of them. So maybe, just maybe, Kandar's actually a Dark One in his true form. once they put together the Book of the Dead, they were able to once again take their actual forms if they so choose to. Because if you remember, they put the book together, then they disappear. Then you hear the Dark One's voices in like incantations. Then Kandar rises. Nicholas says, I really want to know who the old woman is in the remake and just what does she know about the book. I do too. I absolutely do. Now, it would have been interesting if they would have tied her back in some kind of way as maybe being some kind of a spirit herself that is turned against the Deadites. But I mean, I doubt that. That would have been that's too far of a stretch, even for me. But I would like to know why she's so knowledgeable about the book. Oh, know what you're saying, Viper? I just would recommend possibly not going into other people's streams begging for Fortnite skins. That is the best advice I could give you. So I guess we can't talk about xenomorph because I'm scared of xenomorph morphs. So that would be xenophobia. They're very funny play on words, Tiny Eggplant. Very funny play on words. But I mean xenophobia in the real sense of, you just look up the definition. As I said, we're not talking about that. You will get a warning if you go across that line. Trust me, you will be warned. I mean, I could kind of see that, Paris, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Because to me, the Dark Ones kind of seem more powerful than Kandar. Kandar's best attribute is his size, in my opinion. Because, I mean, would he be any worse than Elagos? Imagine if Elagos was that size. Elagos would have been a much worse threat. So I'm not entirely certain. I would probably say they're likely... I don't know. I can't say for certain that they're Dark Ones. That, like, Kandar is a Dark One in his true form. I mean, it could be, but I don't necessarily think he's a god to the Dark Ones. I think the Dark Ones, power-wise, are above him. Or he might have started out as a god, but then the Dark Ones at some point superseded his powers. Exactly, Death. That's why we don't allow it. Not so much the word, but the act is what we don't allow. Oh no, we get you, Devin. We get you. Devin is saying, I don't know if you can see Devin's messages, Death. He's trying to figure out a way to unblock you. Can't figure it out because he said Isabel was the one that blocked you. So ultimately, he's trying to somehow get you unblocked. Doesn't know how to do it. Can't see your messages, and just wants everyone to know that he is not the one that blocked you. I mean, from what we saw, yeah, we haven't seen the full extent. We don't know the full extent of his powers. We know he breathes fire. We know that he's big. And we know pretty much practical firearms don't work on him. And even to an extent, missiles don't really work on him until the fucking Kandarian dagger was shot down his throat and through his jaw and all that shit. So we know that. But I just don't know. I get a feeling that he's like Matt said, like maybe the highest pecking order of henchmen for the Dark Ones. Because I think the Dark Ones are, by all means, possibly the creators of all things from built around the Evil Dead lore as far as the darkness goes. Because as we know, Ruby was a Dark One. She wrote the Necronomicon, so there we have that. But then we look at how the Deadites treat her. The Deadites tend to treat her like shit. So it kind of seems like the Deadites don't even have really any allegiance to anybody. Godzilla could kill Ash. Probably. You never know. He could step on him by accident. I think Ash's cholesterol would get him before Godzilla or Hulk would have a chance to even try it. Probably. You can't see him, Death? Ultimately, that's pretty much what he wanted everyone to know. I think he's trying to work on unblocking you now. That or possibly, Devin, create a Smurf account and come on over and get into it as Devin or Master of Fear Part 2. I mean, it doesn't have to be your main channel because, I mean, we know you're here. What's going on, Gabe? How you doing? Holy shit, man. Welcome. Gabe says, as I enter, may I just say that I believe Ash vs. Evil Dead ending was groovy. They could continue it, but I believe any of the Evil Dead movies, including 3's alternate endings, are perfect for him. Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. They leave you wanting more, which is always a great thing to do in show business. Ranger says, what book is more dangerous than the Necronomicon or the Death Note? P.S. The Death Note is an anime. I know what Death Note is. I have the anime. I've watched the anime multiple times. I've watched the live-action Japanese movies with the dubbed voices from the anime over it. If you haven't checked that out, definitely give it a check out. It's way better than the American-made one. I would probably say what's more dangerous in a large scale, the Necronomicon could potentially be more dangerous because the Necronomicon acts as a virus and can spread. It could be sort of mitigated. It can be cut off and the infection can be stopped. But if left unchecked, it can go worldwide just from one reading. If the Death Note, you have to abide by the Death Note's rules. So pretty much you have to write every single name. Now, as if you're going after one singular target, the Death Note is far more effective. Exactly, Gabe, exactly. It's pretty much at a point where it's like, you know, if we let it die here, which they're not, because we know Sam Raimi is working on another Evil Dead. He's still trying to get Ash to come back, Bruce Campbell's Ash to come back. Bruce has said no, he has declined. He does not want to do it anymore. So they may go the remake, reboot route with it again. Time will tell with that. But personally, yeah, I do agree that pretty much you ended on a strong note. Now, if you're going to do another one and it doesn't have Bruce in it, you may have to get creative. Yeah, Matt, she's recovered for the most part. Kandar is a he. Is that it? I mean, we did kind of assume his gender. Godzilla can kill Ruby? I doubt it. We know that Ruby can only be killed in her demonic form by other Dark Ones or the Kandarian dagger. Godzilla is not a Dark One as far as I know, and he does not shoot Kandarian daggers through his atomic breath. So eventually Ruby would heal right back like Wolverine, if not faster than Wolverine, and probably gut Godzilla from the inside. Because she doesn't have to worry about radiation poisoning. She doesn't have to worry about any kind of physical damage from Godzilla. So no, I think Godzilla would probably fall to Ruby. Why did I make that? There was a culmination of a lot of things going on with Chillin', Harley. Essentially, Harley, yes. Absolutely. Might say mainly because you don't have to know to decipher it for the Death Note, but I see it either way. I don't want to mess with either one. Very true, very true. Because, I mean, if you just get the Necronomicon on its face, you don't have any translation, so you can't work it. Death Note pretty much is sort of gift wrap for you. But I'm going more off potential as opposed as to the likely scenario. Likely scenario would probably be the Death Note. Which, have any of you guys read the sequel? Little sequel comic that they did to Death Note. Did any of you guys actually read that? That is a really, really great read. Which I wish I still had the link for that. I mean, Bruce is going to get his money either way. He's going to be signed on to produce. Who will win? Ash versus Uber Jason? Likely Uber Jason. I don't see very many, if any, slashers being able to combat Uber Jason at all. Uber Jason is the pinnacle of slasher. As ridiculous as he is the pinnacle of slashers. I want my triangle. There is no way that there's a guy out there that wants to rape Michael Myers. Harley, you have not been in the Halloween fandom that long, have you? Trust me, there are women and men that want to do things to Michael that will make that white mask blush. You ever wonder why Ash was chosen as the man for the job? I'm not sure. I always looked at Ash in Army of Darkness as he had relations, so to speak, with Sheila. Sheila probably got pregnant. Can you imagine if any of you guys get this Futurama reference? What if Ash is related to himself in the sense that because he went back in time and got Sheila pregnant, assuming that he got her pregnant, that Ash started his own sort of gene pool from that sense? It's almost, think of it like this, in Terminator. If Kyle Reese went back in time, had sex with Sarah Connor, and ultimately that resulted, instead of giving birth to John, it gave birth to Kyle Reese. What if that was the case, and that is ultimately what rearranged Ash's genes to a degree that made him a special case in The Chosen One. Shinigami versus Deadites. I mean, Shinigami can't really interact with anything. It's their rules. No, sorry, just here. Michael Myers cannot kill Uber Jason. Unfortunately not. There is absolutely no way. Michael kills whole family, fangirls. I can fix him. Hold on.
Because I can fix him. There is absolutely nothing wrong with Michael Myers. Sure, he killed 100 people, but he can still be fixed. It is totally possible. He just needs the right person to do it, and I am it.
You got that reference, Nicholas? Your theory sounds like the ultimate incest with Ash. Possibly. Because you look at it. Think of it. Think about it. Think about it. Sheila gets possessed, correct? She gets possessed through sexual means of Evil Ash. We don't know if a Deadite can procreate. But then she does also have sex with normal Ash. But she gets possessed. She gets out of her possession. Now, think of those cells sort of combining to a degree. Now, not to get too technical because I don't know how Deadite sperm works. I haven't, really done much research on that. But let's say the Deadite cells or sperm works very similar to the Deadites themselves. They're trying to possess Ash's cells, but ultimately are giving it little laces of sort of demonic energy, so to speak. And you have that combining going into Sheila's egg. Not to get too technical. Sheila gets pregnant and gives birth to an overwhelmingly special child from her cells possibly being changed over from being possessed and then fighting out of the possession. Ash did the same thing, and then you have Evil Ash sort of somewhere in that mixture too. That is essentially a recipe for possibly making you a chosen one. Am I right? Mommy, can I have a cheeseburger from Burger King? Explains why Ash is so dumb. He's a victim of incest. Could be. Could be. Never know. Shinigamis cannot die. They've taken so many human lives into their own, and they're essentially immortal. I don't even believe you could kill one by writing its name in the death note. I'm not sure, Gabe. I think there is a way to kill a Shinigami. Actually, if I remember right, isn't the one Shinigami Ren? Don't they get their name written in a death note? Like there is a Shinigami that actually gets his name written? I know if you go against the Shinigami rules, you die as a Shinigami. That is a possibility. So I gotta go back in. Now you make me want to watch Death Note again. JCR says, no, Uber Jason will lose to Pinhead, Pennywise, and maybe Victor Crowley too. Maybe the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers. Very unlikely. One, Pinhead is there for desire and flesh. He would have no interest in Jason if they were to fight. I doubt that Pinhead's chains would be able to penetrate Jason's armor. Considering what we know from Jason X, he would likely grab Pinhead because Pinhead is killed in the books. It is possible to kill him with the brute strength. So that's unlikely. Pennywise works off fear. Jason, at the point of time he becomes Uber Jason, fears nothing. So no, that wouldn't work. It would come down to a battle of strength, which Jason would overpower any form Pennywise throws at him because he is ultimately slave to the form that he takes, so he has to abide by the laws of nature of that form. Victor Crowley would be a stalemate because Victor Crowley, no matter what, cannot die and will respawn over and over and over. However, Uber Jason is so powerful that Victor Crowley not only will not be able to damage him, Jason also will not tire of killing him. There. The Creeper, unlikely, because the Creeper, again, works off fear. The only difference is the Creeper ingests things from its victim to keep itself alive. Eventually, going against a killer like Uber Jason would wear the creeper down to the point that he has depleted his reserves and ultimately would die. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Right, the Deadites name in the Death Note. That could be an interesting theory, but do any of the Deadites actually have names, though? Aside from maybe demons like Elagos and Kandar and Ruby and Ball. Like, I mean, the actual basic Deadites. Has anybody ever asked one for their name for you to actually write it in the Death Note? That would be interesting. Oh, no worries, Matt, no worries. Freddie's reaction to Michael fangirls. I was gonna join, but y'all psychos. Pretty much.
I thought I was gonna join. Oh, all are psychos.
Shit, man, I'm starting to get hungry too now. All y'all talking about food? Which is strongest DC Marvel character Jason X can take down? It's hard to say, Abo, because Jason X is immensely powerful, but we don't know how much damage he could possibly take. Rangers. Oh, also, welcome, Abo. Like, fucking, I'm just like answering questions. I'm like looking at the questions and not looking at the names. Welcome, Abo. Ranger says, JG, how would Sheila be treated if she were to get pregnant by Ash and Ash leaves? Because back then, precedent ladies were treated differently. Back then, if they didn't have a his. I'm guessing you mean if they gave birth out of wedlock and so forth, and considering Sheila's stature, my guess is, judging by that kingdom and her relationship with Arthur, I guess that was his name. It was Arthur, right? Ultimately, she would have been treated fine, especially because the wise man would have known, the king would have known that that would have been Ash's kid. Ash is the chosen one. Ash saved them from the army of the Deadites. So therefore, her and Ash's child would have ultimately lived almost like in royalty. It's the generations after that that you would probably be more worried about. Paris says, if Ash vs. Evil Dead did get a season 4, would you like to see some old demons return? Ball, his spawn, Evil Ruby, and possibly a revived Kandar. Personally, what I would want to see, I would want to see the return of the giant demon from Evil Dead 2 that attacks Ash at the end. I would want to see that return. I would kind of want Kandar to come back, but only as a head. That's pretty much kept as sort of maybe in the castle of one of the Dark Ones, if we're going that kind of post-apocalyptic kind of route, sort of like a gothic castle where Kandar's head is like there, but it can speak to you at that point, and it's more used at this point now as an oracle kind of sense. But yeah, definitely Ball. I would definitely like to see Ball come back in some capacity. Evil Ruby, I would kind of want to see her come back, the Ruby that was killed, and ultimately have such a hard-on for wanting to go after the Dark Ones that she starts coming full circle as she did before she became human. That's what I would like to say. You're pretty sure Kandar is the demon from Evil Dead 2? Man, that... It could be. Maybe. But I'm thinking that specific form. Like, I mean, it could very well be that demon. I haven't read anything that would say that it is or isn't, though. Unless you have some kind of... not proof, but some kind of links leading me to where that's actually said. – Tiny Eggplant says, I just think if Sam Raimi is smart, which he isn't, he should continue with Kelly, Pablo, and Ash's daughter. See, like, now, where that does sound great to go through, ultimately, if you start that, it's going to be tricky. It's going to be extremely tricky starting it from there. Because, as I've said before, if you started at the end of Ash vs. Evil Dead in the post-apocalyptic world, everyone's going to want Ash. They're going to want Ash because they know he's out there. If you start it at the immediate time where Ash like gets into the tank and Kelly and Pablo and Kelly all drive off, and you start it from there, then you know where everything's going to lead up to, because everything's leading up to a post-apocalyptic world. We just don't know how long. And then again, you still are going to have people, how long is it going to take for Ash to come back? That is all they're going to care about. In order to make a good Evil Dead, you either have to bring Ash back and finally kill him off in order to let the story breathe and progress and move on above the character, or you are going to have to retcon some things in order to create a new narrative where Ash is no longer a character. But you have to do it right. The remake itself, Fede Alvarez's movie, could have worked with some tweaks and changes here and there. You didn't need Ash in there, but it could have worked. But there was so many cosmetic changes done for the worse that it made it not so good. I'm gonna go back and look at that, Paris. I'm gonna definitely go back and look at that. Because, I mean, Kandar, I mean, he could very well be, most certainly. But I'm thinking, like, with the, like, human faces on the one side, with the one being able to jump out and shit like that. But, I mean, if that is the same thing, I would still keep it as it stands. Make him a head, sort of as an oracle kind of sense for the Dark Ones. Eat the screen. This guy would win with the hockey mask. Of course, of course. I mean, Jason is the king for a reason. Although, I mean, we do have to recognize Chucky God tier status as well. I mean, I agree, Tiny Eggplant. I always say that a franchise is always bigger than one character. Always bigger than one character. Like Nightmare on Elm Street can live and survive without Freddy. Friday the 13th can live and survive without Jason. Halloween can live and survive without Michael Myers. All of that is possible. It just takes a story. Then people ultimately, they get cold feet. They don't want to go against the grain and get creative and create a new narrative that will ultimately lead us to something else. I mean, look at what happened leading up to Friday the 13th Part 6. Before that movie was made, Tommy Jarvis was supposed to become the killer. We went from Pamela, Jason, Roy, and it was supposed to be Tommy, and it was supposed to be a new killer every couple of movies that all stemmed from what happened on Crystal Lake. It's sort of like 6 degrees of Camp Crystal Lake. That's how that was supposed to be. Halloween was supposed to be an anthology movie. That ultimately, they got cold feet because pretty much people were expecting Michael Myers to be in Season of the Witch, and he wasn't. So therefore, they got severely pissed off about it. Nightmare on Elm Street never tried to go against that grain. which is a shame because I think A Nightmare on Elm Street definitely could eventually move past Freddy, because I've always looked at it that the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, if Freddy was a dream demon, there's likely a dream demon that was before him, and there will likely be a dream demon that is after him. So there's always going to be a nightmare somewhere. It doesn't always have to be Freddy Krueger, but they're scared to go over Freddy. What's going on, Max John? How you doing? Welcome to the stream, my friend. What am I on about? Horror movies? Yes. We're talking about Evil Dead and overall horror, but we're primarily focused in on Evil Dead. Like, pretty much saying like how something like Evil Dead can live on without Ash at the helm of it, which I completely agree. It just depends on what they do, and ultimately I feel like the best way to possibly do it is you do have to kill Ash off. You have to make it where Ash is coming, he's gone, he's not coming back, and that's it. Like, it's done. Now, the way they would probably want to do that is I doubt they're going to want to go the post-apocalyptic route. I think they could do with the post-apocalyptic area. They could end up making that sort of Ash's afterlife. Like, he actually died in the Battle of Kandar, killing Kandar with him. And the post-apocalyptic sense is like how we see when they go through the rift. There's a version of the town, we have cars and everything there. There's a very good possibility that Ash's demise with Kandar sent them maybe to another rift or maybe to another afterlife that would have ultimately kept Ash in sort of a world that's making him think that he's constantly fighting evil. He could still fight the Dark Ones because they still would be present in that world. But ultimately, when it comes to the real world, no time has really changed. It's been a couple of years or two. What you confused about, Max? What you confused about? Let me know. Maybe I can catch you up to speed. Oh, absolutely, Abo. They could definitely succeed without Ash. There's no doubt they can succeed. They could have probably succeeded with the remake if they gave the book the proper look and they gave the demons, the Deadites, their proper look. And they stopped trying to give us Easter eggs like hearing Cheryl's voice in the movie and stuff like that. You don't watch horror movies that much? Oh, man. Are you into horror movies at all, or are you just not into them? You don't think any are scary, to be honest? I mean, it's subjective, so I can't really say what would actually be scary. But I definitely think that there are some recommendations I could give you. Classics like The Evil Dead 2. Although Evil Dead 2, you will find yourself laughing at like certain bits because it does lean a little bit more heavily into comedy. Anything J-horror is fucking terrifying, typically. What's going on, Jason? I know everything about everything. Well said. Anthony says, Michael Myers is in Halloween 3. Only in a TV spot that's on TV. Insinuating that the events of Halloween 1, at least, is a movie. But as far as actually in the movie, no, he's not. You don't get scared off films? It's not so much like, you know, clutching my jacket, I'm terrified. It's more of the creep factor that you're supposed to get to immerse yourself in it. Now, if you're watching one or, like, yeah, they're good but not scary. But if you're watching a thing with friends and you're talking through it, you're not paying attention to a lot of the details that happen, especially in J-horror ghost movies. A lot of that stuff, they don't do the same build-up that they do in American movies, where they focus on the ghost moving something and they're playing creepy music. This is almost like Where's Waldo? Like, you see shit happening in the background and you're not paying attention to it, then you realize, holy fuck, that was a ghost. Like, it's certain things like that that I love. It's the subtlety. of it. Or when they're investigating a room and you're looking at them in the room and there's this closet and there's a little like area above the closet. It's like a little door. While you're watching the characters, there's no music, nothing focusing on anything. You just see little fingers come out and start sliding the little area over, and then the fingers disappear. And there's nothing. There is nothing that really indicates of pretty much anything happening. Like if you're just watching the characters, you miss it completely. Oh, I'm from America. I'm from pretty much Pennsylvania. Not from Pennsylvania. I live in Pennsylvania to be exact, but I am from America. Yes. I find American supernatural movies to be lame for the most part. Oh, welcome back, Matthew. How you doing? Hello, Tug. How you doing? Welcome to the stream, my friend. See, we're getting them from Twitch, D Live, all over the place. Where's the director from? I met for which movie? Which film? Because I mean, most J-horror directors are from Japan, where the movies are made. I live in a cabin in the woods with a chainsaw. But do you have a boomstick, though? In one hand. I don't know, like you guys, is J-horror a genre? Yes, J-horror is what they call Japanese horror. It's just given that title. Do you think Ash has a favorite horror movie? I would guess so. I would guess. Because, I mean, Ash does have a sadistic side to him. Which, to take on the mantle that he does, and slip as he does in that first episode so easily to wearing the chainsaw, shooting and dismembering deadites at will, getting covered in blood constantly. I think he's very critical of probably horror movies, but I think he definitely has a favorite. Am I hyped for Never Hike in the Snow? Absolutely. Absolutely, I'm hyped. I'm just one of the backers for it. I'm on probation. I can't tell you if I have a boomstick. Hey, boomstick can mean many things. I'm just saying. A stick that says boom on it? Just saying. We can get very literal. It's like looking at all the voices that I have on here. This is vastly crazy.
We have such sights to show you. Thank you, Max John, for the follow. Welcome to the family.
You look like the guy from that movie, The Sixth Day. I haven't watched The Sixth Day since it came out, so I don't remember anything from that. Unfortunately. I don't know what to say. I'm just going to leave emojis. You know, Harley, if you became a tier 1 member, you would have a vast amount of custom emojis to leave. Who's my favorite Deadite? I mean, my favorite look is Ed. Favorite Deadite? Cheryl. I love Cheryl. You need to sort your stream deck out. Did I get scared when watching a horror movie before? Not at the movie. At least not that I can remember. More so at the situation. I look at movies situationally. Like, if I was put into that situation, how would I react? What would actually be terrifying? If you could get into that situation, what would you do to get out? And ultimately, because of me being a theory guy on YouTube, I think of many theories and put them into videos. I think of movies a bit differently. And sometimes I go to bed with that. And I dream those situations. That's what gets me, especially zombie ones. Zombie ones like fucking Day of the Dead, when Rhodes gets ripped in half. I've had those dreams. They are not fun. Tiny Eggplant. I've been watching a lot of Dario Argento. He would be so good for a Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, yeah, I could kind of see that. I mean, I like Dario Argento. I do, but I doubt they're gonna go that way with him, though. I mean, he might be great. He might be really good. But knowing how they've been doing with a Nightmare on Elm Street, it's likely going to be an unknown name. Evil Andy Deadite is the best Deadite. I mean, as far as in the movies. What are your thoughts on Deadite telekinesis? To me, it makes sense. I mean, they're supernatural. They can levitate. They should be able to enforce some kind of sense over telekinesis. Some are better at hiding their demented. I can see that, Matt. Sometimes it slips out. You're not spending money on... Nah, it's fine. You don't need to. It's completely fine. Although I did add some emojis. I added some emojis a while ago, which Vibe and Devin and all of them have been using, into the Discord. So I do have some custom emojis in there. Most villains in horror movies aren't scary. It's just a place people are scared of, like Dark Forest or some. Pretty much, yeah. That's ultimately situational. That's what I mean. Like trying to create claustrophobic moments and or just creepy situations in general. It's all about immersing yourself in it to really allow yourself to fully experience it. If you don't immerse yourself in it, then you're likely not going to get the same effect. Oh, nice, Eggplant, nice. Oh, nice. No, you used to sleep to the original Evil Dead on repeat. I used to do that with all my Friday the 13th movies. Can you have $5? I don't have $5. Oh, no worries, Max. No worries. Glad you could stop by and definitely looking forward to see you in the next one, my friend. Oh, no worries, Jay Sayre. No worries. Everyone goes a little crazy sometimes. I don't know, like, if they were to do another remake, what would you end up wanting from it ultimately? Because I mean, there's nothing that's going to stop it. It's going to be an inevitability. Because I mean, ultimately, I know a lot of people's answers are going to be, I don't want a remake. I mean, yeah, none of us really do. They could continue on in some form or fashion in the canonized world. But if Bruce doesn't come back, they're likely going to remake the whole thing. But what would you guys want from a remake? Would you be like me? Would you want a sort of a redo of Within the Woods? Is that what you guys would want? Or would you want a modernized retelling of the first Evil Dead, but done more accurately, maybe differently, maybe mixing in elements of Evil Dead 2 and 1 together, giving us Henrietta in the basement, giving us a slew of characters maybe by the same name? Like, how would you guys want to do it? Army of Darkness 2? Now, is that going to be after Ash go? Because I'm assuming with Army of Darkness, do you want to keep it in the middle, fucking the Dark Ages with the knights and castles and shit, and go on from the point of where Ash goes back to his time and continue to show how they lived back then after the battle with the Deadites, possibly having another Deadite uprising, maybe showing Ruby, maybe showing some other characters throughout time? Or would you be trying to bring Ash back? Now, we have to kind of consider, if they bring Ash back, we do have to consider that it's likely not going to be Bruce. We do have to consider that. And the fan reaction to a possible recasting of Ash Williams. See, like, that'd be the thing. I wouldn't mind either one of those, but I know how fans are, Paris. Fans are going to clamor for ultimately Ash to come back at some point. And eventually it's going to overshadow Kelly Pablo and Brandy. That's the thing, because Ash is still going to be relevant to that world in one way or another. Or if you do, like I say, if you do Kelly Pablo and Brandy, if you do that and you bring Ash back for one point is to kill him off and just make it Kelly, Pablo, and Brandy, just make it about them, then that's fine. Or have it where Ash did die, like I said, after fighting Kandar, like he's actually in his afterlife in the post-apocalyptic world. If you do it like that, then that removes Ash and expectations of him coming back. That's one way you could do it. But if you leave the post-apocalyptic part alone, you're going to have fans ultimately rallying for Bruce to come back at some point. And it's going to be a slap in the face to those other actors telling those characters. Because no matter what they do, they're not going to overshadow Ash. And once the ultimate point comes where Bruce says fuck it and come back, that's going to further continue to just create a drift between their characters and his. And it's going to be like, well, he came back once, let's have him back now. And then you're going to see just an overall drop in interest once Bruce leaves. He stayed and became king? I doubt it. As he said, he does not want to be sprayed with blood anymore. And having him in any kind of Army of Darkness setting is going to call for that. CGI Bruce? I mean, would they have the budget for that, though? I mean, at that point, you're kind of better off of trying to look for an actor that looks like him. First shot of the movie, you should Tombstone. It says Ash Williams, 1957, 2016. I mean, you could, but you still have to reconcile with the fans what they saw at the end of Ash versus Evil Dead. You do have to reconcile that, or fans are not going to be happy. Death says, what are your thoughts on a horror what if series? You mean like if I did like what if Dark Theories, or what if anthology series giving us different outcomes to certain horror movies? Because I'm down for either one. I love the idea of seeing what would have happened if Pamela would have killed Alice. How would things have progressed from there? What would have happened if Michael finally killed Laurie in Halloween 2? What would have happened? Like, there's certain things that would be very interesting. Don't use Sam, new director, like John Carpenter or some shit. That would be pretty cool. That would be cool. A different person helming an Evil Dead movie that meticulously puts together and crafts horror and is well versed in horror. That would be pretty cool. That would definitely be something I would want to see, Jason. Tiny Eggplant says Brandy is visiting her dad, and maybe some narration that says maybe he wasn't the best man in the world, but he was my father, and I'm going to carry his legacy with my new family. That could work. That could work. But you still kind of, because people saw him in that post-apocalyptic world, so you still have to retcon that. What's going on, Team Killer? Who am I talking to? I'm talking to most of my chat that's on YouTube. Some of them are on Facebook. Some of them are on DLive and so forth. That's what the restream bots you see are popping up on Twitch. They're all from typically YouTube, Twitch, DLive, and so forth. And what's going on, G Dollar Bill? How you doing? You like the movie They Live? That's a really good movie. I really like that. That's a movie I'm surprised we haven't gotten a sequel to. Did they make a They Live too? I don't recall if they did. I'm fairly certain that I don't know. I don't remember. I'm going to see if there's any videos on YouTube showing how to make another account on Android. I didn't realize it was giving you that much trouble, Devin. Tiny Eggplant, why not make it a mystery about the post to fuck up the world? It's okay, the mysteries movies, not everything has to be explained. Everything is explained in The Shining. No, it's essentially the Evil Dead, the Evil Dead lore kind of gives you sort of retcons of every single thing that came before. So it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility if they retcon Ash's ending at the end of Ash vs. Evil Dead. Like making it not him in the future, but him in the afterlife. That is fine, but you do have to show that in some kind of way, which would be once the book is read again, the evil comes back again, then they get some kind of they get ultimately some kind of exposition, or maybe Ash's spirit breaks through the realm, so to speak, for just a second, and you know then, oh, he's actually dead. Death says, what if Jason didn't die in part 4? I was actually working on a possible sequel video to that. So I'm definitely working on something for that, Death. But that would be cool to see if they actually did that in movie form, too. That could work too, Jason. That could definitely work. Because, I mean, he could be knocked out dreaming technology in the future and all that shit, all of that, because I mean, he does subconsciously, he would know about the Knights of Samaria. I'm not sure subconsciously where the technology part would come from, but I mean, it's Ash. He has a vivid imagination, so I mean, he could have watched some kind of fucking sci-fi show before doing what he did in Ash vs. Evil Dead. So you could always explain it like that, but you can definitely have it where he gets woken up. Oh, thank you, Burke, for the follow as well. I greatly appreciate it, my friend, and glad you are enjoying the stream. What if Nancy never died? Death, were you around when I did my Nightmare on Elm Street sequel idea? I do have something similar to that idea, but it retcons everything after part 1. You've been gone for so long, I don't know like what you've seen and what you haven't yet. I'm thinking about going for a drive to grab a 40 and chill with my peeps. Oh, while watching the live stream. What you think, JG? I think that is a hell of an idea. Just don't get wasted like I did and just like all over the place. Oh, thank you, G Dollar Bill, for the follow on Twitch as well. I greatly appreciate it. Getting so much love in here. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Let me properly welcome all the newbies here.
Welcome.
But I don't know, like overall, even if the series never got another installment in one way or the other, I can say I enjoy it. I definitely enjoy it overall. We know the inevitability is coming. They are going to make another one. Whether we like it or we don't, whether Bruce is a part of it, acting-wise, or he's not, whether Sam is directing and writing or he isn't, one way or another, it's going to happen. Similar to detractors of movies like Halloween 2018 that don't like that they erased the timeline, or the 2 timelines that already exist, 3 if you count Rob Zombie's. With Friday the 13th, they are going to do the same because it is a proven successful formula. It's inevitable. It's going to be inevitable with Evil Dead. At some point, they are going to erase that timeline and possibly start over again. It's going to happen. It's happening with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It happened with Leprechaun, unsuccessfully. Happened with Texas Chainsaw Massacre once already, unsuccessfully. But that was a horrid attempt, to be completely honest. But ultimately, I think no matter what they do, I'm going to go in with as much an open mind as I can and ultimately just enjoy it. If it's not good, then fuck it, we'll give them hell. But I think overall, the series as it stands right now is absolutely perfect. Not perfect, because I mean, there are some canon issues as far as the end of every movie being semi-retcon. Like, what if Ash didn't sacrifice himself at the end of the show? That would be a good idea, too. Tiny Eggplant says, you know, you could call the remake Evil Dead for the TV show. Evil Dead 5. They could take a look at... Evil Dead 666. I mean, the 666 part, I would kind of leave out, because I don't necessarily see this being more of the Christian, Catholic kind of hell thing. They say hell on there, but I mean, they say a bunch of shit that doesn't necessarily gel with the whole Sumerian and Kandarian supernatural parts of that lore. So I would kind of leave all that out. I would try to create my own lore around that. Plus, I mean, 666 is kind of gimmicky. They were going to do that with Halloween 6, and thankfully they didn't. They did do it for a couple of other movies, but I definitely would stay away from it. What if Jason, Freddy chooses Michael to use? What do you mean? Like, how so are they using him? Is this another sexual thing? Because, I mean, what are they doing? JG, how fucked up is this? Brandy only got to know Ash for a few weeks, give or take. I mean, that kind of works in that sense. Because, I mean, you could, at this point, if you do kill off Ash, if you did bring everything back, you kill off Ash, then eventually you make Brandy the chosen one, and she has to be hardened by her experience. So, I mean, that could definitely work. What if Jason has stayed at the bottom of Crystal Lake? That could be something too, but I would think that could kind of coincide with what if Pamela killed Alice. You could sort of combine all of those together. Oh, no worries, Jason. You have a good night, my friend. What's up, Metal Redneck? How you doing? Oh, excuse me. And Freddy versus Jason, Freddy chooses Jason to do his bidding of getting him remembered. But instead of Jason, it's Michael. Oh, okay. Okay, I was reading that completely wrong. I get what you mean now, Brenda. I get what you mean. But yeah, that could be interesting. Because, I mean, Michael was already shown he's able to become a pawn. So, I mean, that could work. Definitely. My bedroom looks like an Evil Dead museum. I've been collecting since I was a kid. Nice, nice, nice. Feel free to jump into the Discord, share some of the stuff sometime. Or jump into the Facebook page, Metal. Like, share what you got. I definitely want to see it. Like how we had Nemesis in here, where he showed a lot of his Friday the 13th memorabilia. Like, absolutely. Which, Tiny Eggplant, I did not notice that. A character credited as the Prowler. I assume that probably the person in the beginning? Maybe? You said I made the Evil Dead Collectors Initiative on Facebook, but I quit Facebook. Oh, that's unfortunate, man. That's unfortunate. But I am on Discord. So if you want to share anything on there, my Discord is down below. I'll join the Discord eventually, just a few technical difficulties. If you ever need any help, Death, you know where to find me. Send me a message. I'll do what I can to help you. But overall, I mean, what else we got for any of you guys that want to discuss Evil Dead on this stream? Before I jump off and grab some nourishment. You don't have Discord, Matt? I mean, you can always jump in it. It's easy to sign up. It's not like a paid thing or anything like that. And ultimately, when I do get my capture card installed into my computer and I do start playing Xbox and hopefully at some point a Nintendo Switch on stream, if I do that, then I will likely be going through the Discord to talk to you guys, act like being in a party to talk. So I would definitely suggest anybody that wants to do any kind of gameplay with me, definitely jump in there. Did I meet any of the actors, Metal? I have not. I have not met any of them. Oh, you enjoy your lunch, Harley. I mean, all those. What time is it? Oh, it's like 7:44. Isn't that dinner time? Or are you in a different time zone? Oh, no worries, Paris. Glad you could stop by and, again, keep me updated on everything. All right. I think that will likely do it for me, too. I mean, we got some good conversating in on Evil Dead. Glad that all of you guys could stop by. And go grab some food. I will be on tomorrow. We will be back this time for a much sober Dead by Daylight experience in the PTB, playing against Pyramid Head and hopefully surviving. Maybe even getting a couple games as Pyramid Head this time. But I do want to thank all of you guys from over Twitch, Mixer, D-Live, Periscope, Facebook, and especially all my people on YouTube. Thank you guys for sticking by, watching the stream, hitting that like button, sharing, doing everything that you possibly can. I greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys tomorrow. And as always, I am JG Dark. And thanks for watching.
Don't ever laugh as a hearse goes by, for you may be the next to wrap you up in bloody sheets, to drop you 6 feet underneath. They put you in a pine wood box and cover you up with dirt and rocks. It all goes well for about a week, and then your coffin begins to leak, and the worms crawl in, the worms crawl out, the worms play pinochle on your scout. They eat your eyes, they eat your nose as you begin to decompose. A slimy beetle with demon's eyes chews through your stomach and out your sides. Your stomach turns to rancid grease, and pus pours out like melted cheese. You spread it on a slice of bread, and that's what you'll eat when you're dead. And the worms crawl out.
Holy shit.
The ones that crawl in are lean and thin. The ones that crawl out are fat and stout. Your eyes fall in and your hair falls out. Your brain turns into maggot pie. Your liver starts to liquefy. And for the living all is well as you sink further into hell. And the flames rise up to drag you down into the fire where you will drown. Your skin melts off as you descend, and Satan tears you limb from limb. Your suffering will never end, and the worms crawl in, the worms crawl out.
Run,
They
bitch!
eat your guts and then shit them out. And when your bones begin to rot, the worms remain, but you do not. So don't ever laugh as a hearse goes by, for someday you'll be the one to die. And when death brings his cold